Today is October 30th, Thursday, October 30th, 2014, and we are going to start our paperwork training. We do have an awful lot of new agents that are joining us for the first time, so I'd like to welcome those that are going to start with Platinum One. And for those from our sister company, Secure Cash System, I also would like you a warm welcome to those that have started with Secure Cash. As I have mentioned on previous webinars, Platinum One purchased Secure Cash back in December of 2012, and it's a very similar product. A few changes, but essentially it's the same product. And we'd like to welcome those agents. Secure Cash Systems will be getting a new product line here very shortly in regards to a POS system which will be sold under the Secure Cash brand. If you are a Platinum One agent, you will have access to selling the Secure Cash private label product, which is going to be a full POS system for restaurants and auto repair with touch screens, the full equipment line and software. Again, we'll be doing a webinar probably within the next week or so to introduce those agents. If you are a Platinum One agent, not to worry, your contract will provide the same contractability with Secure Cash Systems. Again, we're still a little ways off on that yet. With regards to the Platinum One program, for those new agents that are just starting for the first time, we're going to talk about paperwork. We cycle 3 different webinars. We do product training. The second one is paperwork training, which we'll be doing today. And the third is the marketing, which we'll be doing. All of our webinars are recorded. If you are new and you want to hit the ground running and you want to receive some additional training on the product training and the marketing, just send me an email at james@platinum1llc.com, and I will forward you previous recorded webinars for any of them in the series, whether it's product, paperwork, or marketing. And for those that are listening on our podcast, we'll be doing the same thing as far as being able to send you any of the links by sending an email to me. Okay, for those agents that are new, I'll just give you a real quick over of what you're looking at. If you have your paperwork in to the Platinum One marketing agreement and commission schedule and they're signed, you would have received a welcome kit. Now the welcome kit has an email and password to get into the Resource Center. It's a separate web link. It's platinum1/resources, and that is password protected. And then that your password will be linked into your welcome kit, and you'll be able to copy and paste that. It is case sensitive, so don't call me up and say, hey, I can't get in to my password, because it's best if you copy and paste. Most of the computers out there will remember the password, so you don't have to remember to put it in each time, but it's good to save that, because that password is your protection to get into the site. Again, once you have your marketing agreement and commission schedule signed, and we do check, we'll get that information to you, and then you'll be able to start. The Platinum One resource page, if you're joining me online and not on the telephone, but if you're joining me online and you're watching the Resource Center, that's what you're looking at right now, and it's got everything from applications, which we'll be talking about today, the paperwork. It's got marketing materials, which you'll be able to print off flyers, brochures, trifolds, look at the product webinars, go over some training notes. So there's quite a bit in there that you'll be able to study the Platinum One program. Just at the outset, if you are a new agent, this is not rocket science. This is a very easy program to understand. The paperwork is a little challenging on your first one, but every agent that has ever sold a Platinum One program will tell you the second, third, and as I like to say, your next 100 applications are going to be very, very easy, because it's the same routine on those applications. So just be aware that the first one will be a little bit challenging, and I'm going to try to help you through that today. But after you've gone through your first one, the routine is very simple. My goal as owner of Platinum One is to be able to get you paid as quickly as possible. We have sent out many deals, many wires and ACH funding to agents. We try to pay you as quickly as possible. If you want to get paid the same day, just let me know. We do charge a fee because our bank charges us a fee to be paid the same day. Otherwise, you'll be paid the next day. But our goal is to get you paid as quickly as possible. So let's get the approval, let's get the verification and installation done, and typically we can pay you the same day or the next day, depending on your option to get paid. But again, my goal is to get you paid very quickly, and with the commissions that we pay, I don't believe there's any career or position out there that pays as well as we do. And literally, this is a fact. If you sell one application a week and it gets approved over 52 weeks, many of our and when you include residuals, many of our agents are making as much as 150, and we have some that have made over 250, and we are just approaching November. So this is a very strong program. It's a very nice program. It's not a program you have to work that hard. You can work 3 days a week and make $100,000, or you can work 1 day a week and make $50,000. It's a job that can pay very well, and it's a job that will be able to afford you the time, free time, and it'll also give you the ability to spend that free time, spend that money that you're going to be making, that generous commission, on your family and friends. So for those that are just joining us for the first time, the Platinum One program is a no credit required payment plan for merchants. So our target market is going to be anybody that has an average ticket, a merchant that has an average ticket or invoice between $100 and $5,000. Now that $5,000, we can go higher, but for the most part, most of our merchants are going to fall within that $100 to $3,500. Now when I say no risk, I mean no risk. There is no recourse to the merchant that will allow them not to get paid. All our merchants are paid up front. So if you are a dentist, or if you're a car repair, transmissions, if you are a dentist, a funeral home, your money will be in your hands typically within 24 to 72 hours, the full invoice. Now again, this is important. When you compare us to Care Credit or GE Credit or Wells Fargo or Peachtree, all those credit-based industries will take at least 8 to 12% of your money. So if you're doing $100,000 worth of loans with GE Credit, they're going to take on average about 10%. So on that $100,000, you're going to be given about somewhere between $88,000 and $92,000 is what you're going to receive for those loans. With the Platinum One program, you will receive 100% of your funds. So if you're doing a crown and you're a dentist and it's $1,000, you're going to receive $1,000. If you're a transmission company and you're going to be doing a $2,000 transmission, you're going to receive a $2,000 transmission. It's not going to be $1,800 or $1,600 because the finance company has taken their money. All our fees are passed on to the client. So it's a pass-through. The merchant's going to receive 100% typically within 24 to 72 hours. 72 hours when we talk about it, if it's done over the weekend, typically it's the next day during the week. You'll receive 100% of your money, and that's risk-free. And we don't go back to the merchant. If the merchant is doing a 12-month deal and the client is paying 6 months, we don't go back to them and say, hey, your client only paid 6 months, you owe us for 6 months. No, that doesn't happen. They're not even going to be aware of that because, again, all the merchant is going to have to be worried about is growing his business. He's not going to have to worry because, again, he's going to have his full share of the money in that 24 to 72-hour period. And what happens a month down the line or 6 months down the line or 9 months down the line, the merchant can take that off any worries because he's going to have his money, and all he has to do is worry about growing his business and living and thriving. So when we talk about our target market, we talked about, you know, that $100 to $5,000. We talked about the you know, an example. A perfect example, obviously, would be, I use this a lot, is the dental, because dentists, when they use our program, they definitely use our program an awful lot. Typically, some merchant dentists are using our program anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. Now, keep in mind, that's business that they would have never received. These are people that don't have any credit, maybe they don't have credit cards, money in their checking account, or simply because, again, like the end of the month is coming and the holidays are coming, don't forget that. If the merchant doesn't have any, you know, doesn't have that that money in their account, we're going to provide that service. So if we're talking about a crown that typically costs $1,000 to have replaced, that $1,000 will be in their account, and again, all they have to worry about is growing their business. And this program, as a sales position, is a great program because I talk about those 3 crown jewels. A, it helps out the community, those that really need our help, those individuals that may not, you know, may have gone through a divorce, may have lost their jobs, may have gone into disability, got hurt, had a heart attack. They just don't have the ability to pay that, even though they have money coming in and they're able to make payments on there. They just don't have a bunch of money to be able to pay for that crown. So they walk into the dentist's office, they present their routing number and account number in the form of a check or a bank form, and that money is going to be, they're going to be approved as long as they don't have any bounce checks or NSF fees over the last 120 days. That money is going to be sent to the dentist, and they'll be able to walk out the door with that product or service because that dentist is going to be guaranteed his money, typically, again, within 24 to 72 hours. So when we talk about those crown jewels, we talk about helping the community, helping those individuals that are, you know, have gone through a hard period of time and they're still able to make those payments. You talk about the merchants. We are helping out thousands of merchants across the country every single year. Because this is, again, this is business that they would never have gotten. These are clients that are walking out the door because they don't have the money. We're talking about $30,000 to $50,000 of additional revenue. In some cases, over $100,000 of additional revenue. And most of all, we're helping out the agents. You know, what is good doing is good. You know, this is something that you can help yourself, help your family out, and again, to be able to provide that free time. So we're talking about those 3 things that really are important in making the Platinum One program a program that can really help the community, help the merchants, and most of all, help out yourself and your family. All right, now I've given my my speech regarding the Platinum One program. Now let's talk about the paperwork. Again, if you're joining me online, and not over the telephone. If you're joining me on the telephone, I'm going to try to be as descriptive as possible because this paperwork is very important. Once you get into the back office, you're going to see a section here which is the application section. That's what we're going to be talking about today. The main application that we have to talk about is the concierge application. That is the main one that you should concern yourself with. You don't have to worry about any of the other ones. Now, I've talked to a lot of agents this week that are really anxious about getting going, so I tried to give them a little pep talk and starter kit to be able to go out there. All the rest of the items under the concierge application are just samples. You don't have to bring those with you. I know there's a lot of trees that are getting, or forests that are being obliterated because people are printing off every piece of paper that they see in the back office. You don't need to do that. The only application that you need to worry about is the concierge application. The Azura lease, the First American lease, the Platinum Marquee, the Platinum Standard, Merchant Services application, credit card advance are all, every question that's on any of those applications are all tied into the concierge application. So at least for the first application when you go out there, Just take the concierge application and pay particular attention to the third page, because that's your support documents. We are only filling out 2 pages and the support documents, and everything else is going to be taken care of. So if you want to take the Azura lease as a sample just to show your merchants, you're more than welcome to do that, but you don't have to fill that out, because the Azura or the First American lease is going to come to you in an electronic form. You don't have to worry about having them fill that out, because we will send them an email on behalf of Azura Leasing or First American Leasing, and all they have to do is type in their name. We'll attach that to their IP address so we know that they actually signed it. The DocuSign is considered a legal document, so we do have that. And again, they're going to have to sign their name via the DocuSign, but there's a verification call, so we don't have to worry about this being a legal document. So the Azura and First American, you can just take those along as samples, but we don't have to worry about bringing those along. The Platinum Marquee, everything that goes on in the Platinum Marquee application is done through the concierge. Same with the Platinum Standard. If they are looking to do merchant services, that's all taken care of in the concierge application. And also, if they are looking to have Platinum One loan them money for their business through credit card advance, that application is taken care of by the concierge application. The concierge application is what follows here. The concierge application basically has been designed, for those that are unaware, my background comes from the insurance business. I owned an insurance business for many years, and being an agent in the field, a manager in the field, a trainer in the field, and an agency owner, I realized very quickly that when you're doing a health insurance application or a life insurance application, this is nothing compared to those. So what we did is we developed something that was like a pre-application that will get all the information to you, and then you're able to fill the information out. And let's just go through it very quickly. Again, this will take care of all the other applications just by having this. First of all, we want to know who you are, so sign it so we don't send your large commission check to somebody else. So you're going to put your name down there. We don't need an agent number. We don't need. We will be able to identify you by your first and last name. Second of all, the first 20% of the application you can find right off a business card. The name of the business. Are they a DBA? The contact person. That comes right off the business. You know, the owner of the company. What's their title? The mailing address. City, state, zip code, email address, business phone number, business fax. Again, the first 20% of the application can be filled out just from looking at their business card. Very important, what type of business? Try to be specific. If it's an auto repair place, obviously you don't have to be that specific because we know what that is. But if it's ABC Consulting, we need to know specifically what type of business that is. So we want to make sure that when you're filling out the paperwork, that it's a legitimate business, not just ABC will sell to anybody. We need to know specifically what day and year did the business start. Ask the owner for their tax ID number. That would be the IRS form or the IRS tax ID number. We will need that. Now we're going to get into a little bit more technical, so pay attention in this section. Maximum check limit. This is the amount, when we call maximum check limit, we're talking about the amount of loan money from 0 to $1,500 or from 0 to $2,000 or 0 to $2,500. Don't go into a merchant and just give them a $5,000 limit, because you're going to have a merchant that's not going to be very happy after a couple months, and I will tell you why. If their average ticket is between, let's just take a tire store, an average ticket tire store, their average ticket is between $500 and $700. You're going to want to put them into a $1,500 or maybe a $2,000, but there are fees associated. They're called non-use fees. So if a merchant does not use the program in a 30-day period from the 1st to the 30th, there is a non-use fee established. That means they have to process at least, depending on the program, typically they have to process between $40 and $100 not to be charged a fee. Now, $40 to $100, you're saying, James, that's ridiculous, because who's going to want to process that? So basically, what we're saying, as long as they produce one loan in a 30-day period, they're not going to be charged that amount. So that's why I'm saying is that the fees get higher as the check limit gets higher. So if they're only doing average ticket tire store from $500 to $700, put them in that $1,500 limit. They're only going to get a $40 non-use fee. They're going to be very happy. But if they don't use it at the $5,000 level, that fee could be as high as $100. So we want to make sure that in that 30-day period that we keep that merchant happy. So always ask them what's their average ticket. And don't put them in a $5,000 loan value if once in a lifetime or once every 5 years they have a $5,000 deal. It's not worth it. They're going to be paying much more money, and they're going to be much happier. So just ask them what their average ticket, and then just circle the one, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, or $5,000. Put that, put them in that range, and then we'll set that up on their contract. Now, with auto dealers, there's 3 categories. There's $1,500, there's $3,000, and $5,000. Again, you're going to want to ask the auto dealer. Again, for those that are new, we do not do car sales, although we do down payment assistance. So if the dealer is doing a $20,000, we can do up to 25% or $5,000. Same with the $3,000, same with the $1,500. So if you're going into a used car lot that wants to have down payment assistance, and their cars are on the low end, let's say $3,000 to $5,000, you're going to want to put them in the $1,500 limit. Now, how are we going to, at the end of the day, basically what we're selling here is we're selling either the purchase of the equipment or a cash deal. For those that want to know the cash deal, please consult your managers or contact the home office to talk about the cash deal. 99.9% of what we sell here at Platinum One are leases. We sell typically, of that 99% of the leases we sell, 90% of those are a 48-month lease. It makes sense. They get the best tax advantages, and that keeps their monthly premiums lower. So typically on a 48-month lease, you have what we have here is called control your own paycheck at Platinum One. How does that work? We have a range. The more you sell the lease from, the more you'll make. We average between $125 on the low end all the way up to $195 on the high end. So that's how that works. So if you sell it for $129, you're going to make a generous commission. But if you sell it at $195, you're going to make a very large commission. So again, it's called control your own paycheck. You can sell it at $125, $145, $155, $167, whatever dollar amount you sell it. Just consult your commission schedule, and we'll do a mathematical calculation to find out what your commission is. But on your commission schedule, it will give you a range between $125 and $195 roughly. The bank caps us out. So we do have many agents out there that are begging me to try to push that cap. Unfortunately, we can't. So $195 is where we cap out at. Again, we sell a 48, a 36, and a 24-month lease. But again, about 90% of the leases that we do, and that's about 95% of everything we do besides cash deals. We don't do that many cash deals. It's all done on leases. But we do a 48, a 36, and a 24. But most of the leases that we sell are 4-year or 48-month leases, and majority of them do come in at $195. So just keep that in mind. So we want to know if it's a cash value or if it's a lease. If it's a lease, just write the dollar amount right here, $195. If it's a 36 month, just consult your commission schedule. Then we have the estimated volume per month. The estimated volume per month is just the average sales, just in ballpark, what do they do in an average month? Their average check or their average sale per that month. Now we're going to talk about the bank name, the bank city, bank phone number, bank contact, their routing number, and again, their routing number and account number is at the bottom of their check. So if you don't want to ask them for that, just ask them for the voided check. And then when you get to your home office, you can fill that in. The next section down, the last section of page 1 is the ownership. How much of the business? We only need 50%. So if we have 3 partners and the 2 partners total over 50%, we don't need the 3rd person. So just keep that in mind, the ownership information. We need the owner's name, ownership percentage, social security number, driver's license, state. If there is a second 50-50 owner or another minority owner, you can put that information right here. But again, that's only if that first owner is below 51%. Now we are just 50% complete. Now we go into this page 2. We're looking for business references. Please make this a priority. We have a lot of agents out there that are not filling this in because they think that it's not going to carry and it's just going to delay you getting paid. We need 2 business references. It's not their bank, it's not their wives, it's not their children. We need a business reference on who they actually buy something from. Perfect example on an auto repair place, Bumper to Bumper Auto is where they buy their parts. So right here you would put Bumper to Bumper, contact name, the title of that person, and the phone number. They do check, and this is very important for those agents out there that have a deal that falls just on the borderline of being accepted. And keep in mind, we don't take all merchants because we are looking for partners. We're looking for those individuals out there that will want to partner up with Platinum One. We're not looking for someone that is going to do $100,000 in loans, close their doors, and say, you know, we're not going to be responsible. We're looking for those, and we do check out each merchant. And again, not every merchant is going to qualify. So we've got our business references, and remember, it's who they buy for. So you can't put their telephone company down. You can't put McDonald's down. You can't put anything else on that particular line except for those. Please don't put their bank down. We have so many people that use a credit reference from their bank, and that is not an acceptable credit reference. It has to be somebody from whom they buy from. Guarantor. This section here is who's the person who's going to be, now this says here, if leased. Again, you don't have to fill this out if it's a cash deal. But again, like I said, 95% of what we sell is the guaranteed section here, is the lease. Guarantor's name, home address, city, state, all this information that you need to ask that is asked if you're coming out of the mortgage business, which many of our agents are coming out of the mortgage business because it's been a frustrating time for them. But I will tell you, this is a very, very nice way to make a living. But for those that are coming out from the mortgage business, you do know when we pull credit, these are the questions that you have to ask. And last but not least, believe it or not, we're already through the application. This section here is for Platinum One. Platinum One does everything under the same roof. We do the equipment, we do the programming, we do the batch out, we do the marketing, the boxing, the shipping. Everything that we do here at Platinum One is done under our roof. And whether you're with Secure Cash or you're with Platinum One, again, everything is done under our roof in Brookfield, Wisconsin. So we need to know the plan. Again, for those that weren't with us last week, the Marquis or the Standard, those are the 2 plans that we have. The Marquis plan is a little, the warranty rate is similar to interest, but the warranty rates are much higher, but it's a more riskier loan. The Standard plan is a better seller because it's a program that fits in more in line with traditional credit. So these questions here that that we're asking are for the Platinum One team. Is it a digital line? Is it an analog line? Do they have to dial 9? Is it if it's an IP, do they do static or dynamic IP? You don't have to know the difference, but just ask the question. Now, the Marquee plan, we can do both phone lines and Ethernet lines, either or. So if they have an Ethernet or they don't have a business phone, we can do that. The standard plan, it says phone line only. However, we have had some success with using a MagicJack Plus. The MagicJack Plus is a internet-based phone line. We can process that on there. So if you do the standard plan, please write on there MagicJack Plus. We will purchase that. They cost about $50 for a year, and we will purchase the first year. I think the second year is only $20, but because you're purchasing the equipment, it's like $49.95. But Platinum One will purchase that, and that will be sent along with the equipment. The merchant will have to plug that into the back of their Ethernet line, and then it's a phone jack that a phone cord that you plug the system into, and you're able to process over the Ethernet with a MagicJack. But please let us know ahead of time, because the last thing in the world you want to do is have the setup day and we can't process, or we can't do the setup because you don't have the MagicJack Plus in the program. All the merchant has to do is go online, register with MagicJack Plus prior to the setup, pick a phone number, and they're able to use that phone number by dialing up. But most of all, they can process the Platinum One system through the MagicJack Plus. The last item on the page, believe it or not, is the signature, and that just allows us to pull credit on behalf of the agent and Platinum One. So now that's very simple application, doesn't take much, but just think about it. Everything that we asked here would be able to be populated for credit card processing, for loan advances, for the Marquee plan, for the standard plan. All the questions that we asked on here is the basic information that we need to process any of those applications. Now, as I mentioned before, the most important page is page 3. Now, we don't have to write anything on page 3, but this is your Marquee and standard checklist. Again, the Marquee plan is specifically for those merchants that want to, A would be down payment assistance, or for those merchants that don't want to have anything to do with income requirements. Now, remember, the Marquee plan does not have an income requirement. It's just processed over the information from their routing number and account number. It happens very fast. Typically, they can get an answer back in 30 seconds. So they plug the information in, and they'll get an answer back, either approved or declined, within 30 seconds. That's the nice feature of the Marquee plan. However, one of the downsides of the Marquee plan is a merchant has to have an average daily balance or beginning and ending balance on their checking account of $2,000. Typically, if a merchant does not have at least $2,000 beginning and $2,000 ending in their checking account, they will not qualify for the Marquee plan. So keep that in mind when you're pitching the programs. Their average beginning and monthly beginning balance and ending balance has to be above $2,000. So if you have a $2,000 beginning balance, and let's say you have $30,000 that run through the account and $2,000 at the end for 2 consecutive months, you'll be approved for the Marquee plan. Otherwise, the standard plan, they're only looking for a couple of $100 in the checking account. So there is, again, you'll have to listen to the product training to understand the difference between the two programs. They are very similar, but there are 2 different underwriting requirements for the banks that are participating in these 2 particular programs. So let's look at that underwriting checklist. These are the requirements for the Marquee plan. 2 most recent bank statements pages of beginning and ending balance. Now, this is a little different than a bank statement. We just need this summary page. The summary page is typically the first page on the bank statement. So you don't have to send me the whole bank statement. You just have to send me the first page for the merchant. And believe it or not, it's not that difficult. For those agents that are new, you just go ahead and ask the merchant for 2 recent summary pages for the most recent months. So right now we are still in October, so we would need September and August. Next week when we get into November, we are going to need October and September summary pages. And again, to qualify for the Marquee plan, it has to have a minimum balance, minimum beginning balance of $2,000 and a minimum ending balance of $2,000. Otherwise, they will not qualify for the Marquee plan. The big difference would be in car sales. The Marquee is the only plan that we have that we're able to do down payment assistance. The standard plan has, we are not able to do any car sales whatsoever. So let's go through this. 2 most recent bank summary pages, beginning and ending balances of above $2,000. So again, remember, next week, if you're turning in applications, and with Christmas coming at the end of the year, we're going to be seeing a lot more applications. So remember, we need the 2 most recent. I can't use July's. I can't use August. I have to have, for the rest of October, which is only tomorrow, I have to have August and September, and then come Monday morning, I'll be looking for applications for the Marquee plan with September and October. Go online, have your merchant pull the first page off, print it off, and you have 2 of the most recent bank summary pages for the Marquee plan. Current business license, typically you can just take a picture of that or pull it off the wall and make a copy of that. Tax ID, verification information, SS4, clear copy of the driver's license. Now, when I say clear copy of the driver's license, please take a picture. Everybody that works for Platinum One must have a cell phone, because we have not had anybody say to us that they're unable to get pictures. If you can get me a scanned copy of the driver's license, but you have to be able to have a very good scan. I have to be able to see the picture, I have to be able to see the signature, and I have to be able to read every item, including the driver's license number on the application or on the license. So don't send me a license that you can't read, because it's not going to magically repair itself as it goes over the fax line or over the digital line. Take a picture with your phone, look at it. If you can see the signature, if you can read every digit on there, then you're allowed to send it in. But please don't send me a copy of something that you can't even read, because we won't accept it, and unfortunately we can't pay you unless we have a clear picture of their driver's license. Voided check, and take photos of both. For both plans, we are now requiring all agents to take photos of the sign and photos of the outside of the building and inside of the building for that. We just need to know that you were there, that this is not, and if you're doing internet sales, just have your customer take photos. If they're going to get the program, they won't have a problem just taking a couple snapshots of either the sign or take a picture of the we were just dealing with a merchant this morning who does some car sales, but mainly he does repair, and we needed to take, he was glad to run, and you got to remember, most of these merchants are very proud of what they do. This is how they make their living. So for you to ask a merchant to go out and take a picture of their building or take a picture of their sign, they're going to be very proud to do that, and we don't have a problem with merchants being able to boast about what they're accomplishing. So again, 2 copies, 2 summary pages, business license, EIN or tax ID information, clear copy of the picture of the driver's license, clear copy of the voided check, and then photos of the business location. Now, this is for we just went over. That's for all standard merchants. Now, if we're talking about auto sales, which a lot of them the Marquee is, we need the master, the copy of the master agreement, the master lease agreement between the current financial company and the merchant. So because we're only doing down payment assistance, we do need to have another merchant another leasing finance company. So we're only doing down payment assistance. We do need to have another financing company set up. Most dealerships have anywhere from 7 to 10, 3 to 5 additional people that they get financing from. We just don't want to be the only financing company that is tied into it, because again, we're only doing down payment assistance, and we don't want them to use us, in the case of a where they're not going to use us for the down payment. So we need another company. So there's nothing sacred about those agreements. It's just a document. They're typically anywhere from 5 to 15 pages long. It's a document that just says that that Chase or Westwood or Auto One is going to provide a financing package for that car dealership. So again, the master agreement. So this is for auto sales only. We will need a copy of the signed master's agreement with the current financing company, and then we provide the secondary financing, because again, we don't take title on the vehicle, so we need to have a lease company or a lease finance company, a finance company, to be able to take a first position, because we're only doing the down payment. Now, that's very similar to the Marquis plan, although the underwriting is a little easier. And again, the standard plan, we do not do any auto sales. Current business license, driver's license, voided check, and site survey. The site survey does ask you to take photos, so please keep in mind for both programs, we need photos of the inside and outside, and specifically the sign. Now, for those that are doing a corporate lease, from time to time you're going to have merchants that will not give you their Social Security number, which is fine. We will do a corporate lease. That means that the corporation is going to take the first position on the lease that they're selling, or they're going to be the guarantor of the corporation. We gather all the same information. The only thing different is that the corporate lease requires 2 tax returns, 2 full tax returns for the most current year. So typically that's going to be 2013 and 12. If 2013 has not been completed, then we need 2011 and 2012. The 2 most recent tax returns, all the pages, and that has to be completed. So if they're doing a Marquis plan, you still need the bank statements, all the other items we talked about, but we just need 2 years of tax returns for a corporate lease. One other note, for those agents that are selling corporate leases, this is not a big surprise, but because you've heard this before, but because the corporate lease is a much riskier lease, we can only pay you up to the C level. C is the top level. So on an individual lease that's guaranteed, we pay you commission on an A, B, C, or D credit. On a corporate lease, we can only pay you on a C, D, or E. Because it is much riskier, the bank will not allow us to, they will not pay us any higher than a C level. So unfortunately, that's all we can pay out is to the C level. So don't be shocked if the the commission is less on a corporate. So you're going to want to push the personal guarantee so that you can get paid a higher A/B rate. And believe me, it can run anywhere from $500 to $700 worth of additional commission if you're selling a personal versus a corporate. But if you don't want to walk away with nothing, then take the corporate lease. So again, A, B, and C and D are paid out on the personal leases, and the corporate leases only pay C and D, and E's are sometimes looked on a case-by-case basis. I just wanted to talk, I wanted to go back because I don't think I did a very good job of explaining what this master agreement is. The master agreement is just an agreement between the financing company, somebody else that's doing their financing, because again, we're only doing down payment assistance. That's only on the Marquis plan. So that's it. So when you take a look at this application, there's 2 pages that you're signing, you're filling out and having the client sign here, and then keep a moment to sign the or to go through page the 3rd page, which is all the support documents. Okay. So here we are again at the end of another week's webinars. We have quite a few people online. Up on the GoToMeeting telemetry, and there is a little hand. If you have any questions regarding the paperwork training, your paperwork, your marketing agreement, anything that has to do with how the Platinum One program works, you can just raise your hand and go. I can try to answer any questions that you may have regarding anything that we've gone over today. Okay, everybody's pretty quiet today. Okay, unfortunately I can't unmute the phones because of all the people that we have on today. It will be a feedback disaster. So I can call on you individually, and I see that Linda has her hand up. Linda, can I help you?
Hold on.
I can hear you.
You can hear me? Okay. Does the merchant have to have a FICO score or anything about them?
Yeah, and that's a good question. When we do we get the application, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull credit. So a merchant must have at least a 550 credit score, which is a D level. We work with A, B, and C credit. You know, your top A would be about an 840 credit score. We do go down to as low as 550. Sometimes we can go a little bit lower when it comes to credit scores, but they have to have at least a 550. Now, keep in mind that with a 550 credit score, we are looking for partners because, again, we are going to be sending anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 a week to these merchants, and we want to make sure that these people are going to stay in business. So we do run a background check on the merchant, and we also run a credit score on the merchant, and we just check the overall viability of that business. Linda, you had a follow-up?
What if they had a business bankruptcy, like they did a Chapter 11? How many years back? Does it matter?
Typically on a business bankruptcy, obviously you have to be discharged, and there's going to have to be some time that passes. We had just recently brought somebody back through at a C credit level of their business, went into bankruptcy. I believe it was about 22 months ago, and we were still able to get them through. I would say that it would have to be at least 18 months for them to consider, but typically we can get them through if it was 18 months or longer. Linda, any other questions?
No, I'll be.
Okay. Louis, can you hear me? Louis, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My question was basically for the lease, the 48, 36, and 24. I wrote you one on the message thing regarding the 36 and 24. What? How do we know what credit their credit is? Do we get notified?
Yes. Typically, what happens is when the application goes in, the underwriting department will take the information that you have sent in and basically pull that all together for credit. We'll send the credit information to to establish their credit. We will get an email. It's basically Azura, who is our leasing company, will or First American will grab that information and get back to us with the credit score. Then we will email you basically a letter grade. Unfortunately, we can't give you the actual FICO score without permission that we are able to share that with the agent, but we can give you a letter grade. the letter grade would be either A, B, C, or D, and at that point in time, we would then determine about moving forward with getting that particular merchant accepted. Now, keep in mind, there is no obligation for the merchant, so a lot of agents will use that. They'll say to a merchant, well, we got to get you qualified first, and then obviously the merchant's going to say, well, why wouldn't I qualify? Because not everyone, we don't take everyone, we're looking for partners. So let's go ahead, fill out a credit application, the concierge application, gather some simple information. We'll find out if you qualify, and at that point in time, I can come back in with the contracts and you can take a look at it. That's a technique that a lot of our agents use. You know, when they'll do that takeaway, they'll say, well, you may not even qualify. Let's just see first. Because if you have a genuine interest there, but someone who's just you know, a little bit unsure of how if they want to proceed or not, you can actually use that as a takeaway and say, hey, you know, you may not even qualify for this program. Let's fill out the concierge application, see if you qualify, and I can come back in and we'll talk about it. A lot of merchants basically will follow through at that point because they want to, you know, everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to be able to, you know, be part of a winning team like Platinum One. So it's a nice technique, and that does work. Any other questions? Let's see here. Going through my list. Doesn't look like it. Oh, how about Chuck? Can you hear me, Chuck? Yep, I can hear you.
On the ownership percentage, I thought I heard you say 50% was twice and then 51%. Could you clarify that for me?
Well, we need at least 50%. So if someone has 49%, we're going to need to have another partner involved in that for the acceptance. So we need at least 50%, or if it's two people, at least those two people have to make up 51%. So all we're doing is making sure that the ownership of the business is in favor of going ahead with this program. So if you had three partners and only one person wanted to do it, unfortunately, we need to have a majority of that business. So one owner of 50 or two at 51, and then we can get that application going and obviously get you guys paid. Okay. All right, that'll wrap it up for this week's paperwork training. Wanted to keep it under an hour, and we're just about there. Next week is our marketing. That is always our #1 attended webinar. Typically about Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning. That we do have 101 person capacity. That particular webinar, usually by Wednesday or Thursday morning, does sell out. So if you are interested in joining the webinar for marketing next week, if you do see the emails come across, please register as soon as you can, because that is the #1. And we always get complaints from agents who ignored the emails, didn't register, and unfortunately they were unable to jump on the webinar, and they had to listen to the recorded version, which I guess isn't a bad deal. So next week Thursday, we'll be talking about the marketing webinar. That is like I said, that's always the #1 attended webinar. And again, that'll be Thursday, November 6th, 2014. We'll be doing it. Keep an eye on your emails, and you'll be seeing the announcement for next Thursday's webinar. And again, we are then getting into the month of November, and as you know, the last 90 days of the year is always about 90% of all retail money is spent. So for those that want to have a great Christmas with their family, there's plenty of time to get applications in here and get paid, especially in the next week or so. We've been typically turning from the time that you turn in an application till the time you get paid is typically about 3 to 5 days. So you can be able to build that Christmas fund for you and your family during the month of November. So don't panic. You know, there's property taxes and all the other things that come due at the end of the year. So There's still a lot of time here to get a bunch of applications in before the holidays. So I'd like to thank you for joining me this afternoon. For all those good people here at Platinum One, I'd like to thank you for joining me. And until next week, Thursday, if we don't talk before that, have a great week.